Hey everybody, welcome to Drive Thru Review 383. Today we're going to talk about Loony Quest. Now if you've heard of a game called Doodle Quest, this is kind of the same game. Doodle Quest will be more readily available for you in the United States, but you can pick this up through Amazon and some other different places online. Now what is this game about? It's kind of a drawing game, but not really. So the theme of this game is all the players are playing through these video game levels, and what you're doing is you're sort of drawing blindly a picture that you have in front of the table that everybody can see, but you're drawing over this transparent image here. This transparent, you can't even see this probably, but I'll show you. So you're trying to guess where to draw the lines. So there's a little bit of sort of dexterity, hand-eye coordination kind of things happening, and a little bit of sort of training. So there's different levels and things that you can go up that get very much harder. So let me just show you actually how the game works, and then I'll come back and say what I think. Okay, so here's pretty much everything that you get in the game. Please note that these bags actually don't come in the game. These are for storing different tiles that you'll be drawing during the game. The game just tells you to make stacks or piles, but I had these bags that are sort of color-coded to make things a little easier. The box itself, you can actually see, this is the box cover. Inside the box we'll have a little score track as well as a place they call the console, where you're going to be putting out drawings. So players will get a little chip or token in their player color. They'll keep this in front of them, and then they will have a little sort of score marker in their player color as well that they're going to use, and then they will slide these in like so, and then keep these going around the track there. Now what everybody's going to do is decide on a world to play. So you can see here is World 2, Level 1. And there are usually 6 levels in a world. These are actually double-sided, so if we flip this over here, this is World 2, Level 2, and you can see some of these is like ice themed here. If we take a look at the first world, sort of a jungle theme and so on. You've got World 6 here, and then there's a World 7 that only has 4 levels. Now when you get to the level 6, or the last level, whatever the case may be, you'll be facing off with a boss character. Remember, this is like a video game theme. So let's just go through World 1, kind of the easier to explain what players will be doing. So the idea is, with this one, there's some iconography down here, and this is going to tell you what's going to give you points and what's going to give you minus points or remove points. So very simply, the objective is to draw one single line from this area to this area. This is a very simple, the most basic level. So you're going to draw a line from here over to here. Any XP that you get, these are the points, or XP in this game is basically victory points. You're going to try to hit those lines. And any of these characters here, you can see there's 3 of these sort of bad characters. If you hit one of them, you can see you're actually going to lose 2 points. And then if you hit any of these bricks, you're going to lose a point. Now, several levels are going to have these lightning icons here as well as these bomb icons. If you touch a lightning icon, then you're going to draw from the bag or stack, as it were, and you're going to get one of these out, and this is going to be a little bonus here. So this may allow you to send a bad icon to somebody else, and there's all kinds of different ones here. I'll talk about those in a second. If you draw over a bomb, then unfortunately you're going to have to draw one of these, and these are going to hurt you in the following round here. So this one will force you to actually draw with a stiff elbow. You can't like bend your elbow to draw, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to draw, and a lot of these have that to do. So players are trace that. We say, well, how do they draw that? Well, let's just set that aside over here. And again, as I said, players get this little transparency, and everybody's going to get a sort of a mat here. So it's white on one side, and then it's got this cool Loony Quest logo and graphics on the other side. So you're going to take and put this here on top of the white surface, and then you're going to get a pen here. And these are pretty cool because they give a little snap cap there. So they've got an eraser on this side, and then a little thing there, so you just go ahead and pop that there. And then you are going to draw. So what we're going to do actually is we have a timer. So this is a 30-second timer, so it's not very long. And then we're going to turn that over, and then now this is where the console comes into play. So we're going to go ahead and put this in here, but I may not be sitting relatively to the bottom of this. I could be sitting, over on this side, so it's actually going to look like this to me. So if you were sitting there and I was sitting here, I would be looking at it from this angle, and so Billy maybe sits over here and he's seeing it from this angle. This would be the angle that Billy's sitting and looking at it. So you're going to draw the lines relative to what you should be doing. So I'll very quickly and probably horribly draw a line here. So let me just do that very quickly. So let's say we started the timer, and then I'm going to draw a line here, trying to do my best there and try to do that. So in the next round, what's going to happen is we're going to go to the next level. We'll flip this over like so. We'll go to level 2, and then we're going to rotate the console. So everybody gets a different chance to draw from a different perspective, but I haven't really seen it come into play that much. In terms of the difficulty. So now we're going to go ahead and lay this on top, and I did that very quickly, and we're going to see, okay, I did the complete line there, so I'm going to get my 3 points for that, and then I'm going to get 1, 2, I'm going to call that one a miss, and that one a miss, and that one a miss. So I've got 3, 4, 5, but I went through this bad guy here, so I'm actually going to lose 2 points. So on this turn, I would have gotten 3 points. And I didn't touch the bomb or anything like that. So that's very simply the game. Now you're going to have different objectives. So if we take a look at this one here, you can see this one doesn't actually have a line. You're going to draw 4 points on the screen. And in this case, you're trying to hit the bad guy. So you're going to get 3 points for this bad guy here, 2 points for these bad guys, and then you're going to lose a point for any of the blocks. So simply what you're going to do here, let's go ahead and erase this one here like that. We'll move that over here. So now we're set up, and now we're going to draw our 4 dots. So I'm going to again very badly draw the dots there, and we're just going to do that. That's a bad dot. That probably shouldn't count as a dot. But you do have time, actually, I should say, to erase anything until the end of the timer happens. So let's say we did that, and let's say we did that pretty good. So we hit this guy, you can kind of see that, and we hit this guy, and we missed this guy, but we hit the bomb. Now there are rules in terms of when you're drawing lines, because sometimes it'll tell you to draw more than one line, sometimes it'll tell you to circle things, and you can't have lines crossing each other or doubling back and making little weird squiggles. That will completely invalidate the drawing, and you won't score any points for your goal in that case. But I'm not going to show you all the different levels. There's tons of different variety and things, and they definitely get harder and harder and harder as you get to the more advanced worlds. Now before I talk about the different power-ups and negative power-ups that you're going to get in the game, there are certain cool things like this on some of the levels where if you draw a line and then you hit the key and then you hit the cage, which basically unlocks with the key, and then you're going to get the points inside the key. Or there might be little buttons and switches to deactivate a laser, so your line won't pass through the laser unless you've deactivated it, and so on. Now let's talk about some of the penalties that you might get. Again, these are the bombs you're going to draw from a stack or a bag or whatever, and these are going to hinder you on your turn. And sometimes players can hand these out to you and so on. Now there actually is what's called an arcade variant where you can flip one of these over each round, and then everybody has to draw with that penalty. So if you wanted to play like the easy world, but come back to it, it's so easy now everybody's got it, but you want to play with a little bit of a handicap, then you can go ahead and do that, or maybe playing with children or something. So this one, for example, you have to keep one eye shut when you draw. This one is you have to swap to your bad hand. So if you're right-handed like me, you swap to your left hand and vice versa. This is the Vortex. So instead of drawing on the white side, you have to draw on the noisy side of your board. This one is pretty interesting. You have to actually hold the pen like this between your pinky and your thumb. And then this one you have to again draw with a straight elbow. So sometimes you can get multiple combos of these, so you got to do multiples at once, which is pretty interesting. Now here we have the bonus items here. So this is a cool one here, the shield. Basically that means you can ignore, let's say you ran over a block or some other kind of hazard, you can ignore hazard for discarding the shield. This one here allows you to get rid of one of your penalty tokens or the bomb tokens and pass it to another player. These banana peels are cool. You actually kind of sort of flip or flick these onto another player's screen, and they have to draw around these. And you can't drop it right on, and if you flick it and miss, then no big deal, you just get to flick it again. And then we have here the little sort of dodo bird, or I should call it a mosquito. I keep calling it a dodo bird. And I actually have to balance the dodo bird on the top of the pen. This is the most difficult thing. So that player has to actually do that and keep that balance, or they have to stop drawing, put that back on their pen, and then keep drawing. It is doable, and I've even done it on the World 7 boss and done okay with it. Finally, you have this here. You can turn this in at any point when you go to score, and you get 2 experience points when you do that. So let's talk about scoring real quick. So again, we have the scoreboard here, and you can see these little tracks. Now when you score, let's say you land on another player's score, you actually skip ahead to the next slot, and of course the player with the most points at the end of the game is the winner. But it's a good idea to hold on to this experience token, of course, to do that when it's most opportune, so that it'll actually maybe get you that just that little bit ahead, so you can skip over the other player when you land on that. But very simple scoring other than the XP tokens. Okay, so that is Loony Quest, and what do I think of it? Well, I think it's a blast. I don't want to oversell it, but really have a great time playing this. It's mindless, it's silly, it's got a good amount of replayability because you've got the different special abilities and effects and things that you can get during the game. It has a certain amount of progression to it, so I've definitely felt myself get better at the game as I progressed. And like I said, you can play the arcade variant where you flip up a penalty, even going back to some of the easier levels to give yourself a little bit more of a challenge and then, again, replay those levels. So there is a little bit amount of screwage, which I think is fine in the general nature of the game. One particular game we were playing World 7, for example, and I think I ended up getting second place in that game. And it was a low scoring game, but I was in the lead going into the last boss, and I had all of these penalties just put on me, and it was really hard to do. I did okay still, but I could have definitely scored some more points and won the game if I didn't have all those penalties. But definitely not complaining about it because it was fun. It was, you know, a super challenging sort of challenge to try to, you know, draw with my pinky and my thumb and my arm straight and my one eye shut and on the funky side of the board all at once on the hardest boss in the game, supposedly. There is another way that you can like unlock a special stage where you flick your little disc. That's what the disc is actually for. So there's a lot of fun things. I could definitely see room to expand this. Like I said, this is a little bit hard to get in the States right now, so hopefully some more folks will bring it over and make it more available. So I've looked at Doodle Quest and frankly just passed it over because it was, you know, it was like a kid's game, and that, you know, my kids aren't into them. One is 20, so there's that. But you know, and I just didn't really think much about it. But now looking at this, I'm like, oh, that probably is a pretty cool, fun game. But kind of comparing what's in the boxes, I think you get a little bit more with this, and it's a little bit more cooler theme. I think it's got the whole video game vibe, and the art's very super vibrant compared to Doodle Quest. But if you can't find this one, you can go check out Doodle Quest, and that might be a good alternative for this one. This isn't too expensive. I've seen it on Amazon for about like 38 bucks shipped. So with free shipping and stuff, sometimes you can get free shipping from Amazon, which is a good deal. I think that's a good deal for the game. To know it's a light game. There's not a ton of components, but the components that are in there are really good. I like the little pens and everything when they come with the erasers. I love the whole idea of the console on the box and being able to rotate that. It makes everything work really, really well. And I think it's going to be very easy to expand as well. I mean, you can just add world upon world and, you know, different little tokens and things. So hopefully it does do well, at least over in Europe. Where this is being sold. It is a multi-language game, so it does have rules in different languages and things like that if that's something you need. But really, it's a really fun game. Played it with the gamer friends and with the family, and everybody's really had a good time at it. And like, you don't really need to be able to draw very well. It's more of like a spatial hand-eye coordination thing, which helps. But you don't need to draw something so like it looks like a person or looks like with nice shading or whatever. It's just a very, you know, rote thing, but very fun. And there's a whole like reveal of the thing. You know, you put the transparency on top of the image, and then it's like, oh, look at you! You did horrible. You got 0 points because you hit all the bombs or all the bad guys or whatever it is. Or you did really well, and you're like, you know, even when you do well, you're like, wow, I can't believe I did so good. I'm kind of surprised. But like I said, it's got the whole progression thing, so it feels like you can improve and get to know the levels, and it kind of feels like everybody's doing like a speed run on a video game, which is kind of cool vibe. So definitely check it out if you can track it down. Loony Quest. Thanks.